The story begins with a cunning thief named Frank Morris. Arrested for a series of bank robberies, he is sentenced to spend the rest of his life inside the world's most secure prison, Alcatraz. Alcatraz wasn't just any prison, it was built on a lonely island in the middle of the San Francisco Bay. Even if a prisoner somehow managed to break out, the icy waters and powerful currents made escape nearly impossible. That's why Alcatraz was known as the Rock, the most escape-proof prison in the world. Only the most dangerous criminals were sent here. But Alcatraz's reputation was about to be challenged, because now Frank Morris had arrived. A man with a long history of jailbreaks. He had escaped prisons before, but this time things were different. This fortress was unlike anything he had ever seen. For the first time, even Morris felt uneasy. Still, one thing was certain. He had no plans of spending his entire life locked away. The moment he entered Alcatraz, he began thinking about escaping. After a full body search, Morris was locked inside his cold, narrow cell. A guard looked at him and said with a grim smile, "Welcome to Alcatraz." Suddenly a bell rings and all the cell doors open automatically. Officers call the prisoners out. Discipline inside this prison is extremely strict. Inmates must follow every rule from cleaning their cells to returning on time. Everyone wears the same uniform and lines up for breakfast. At the table, Morris sits across from an inmate named Litmus. Morris complains that he has no fork and asks how he is supposed to eat noodles. Litmus replies, "This isn't your home, just eat what you're given." Then a dangerous prisoner named Wolf begins mocking Morris. Everyone in Alcatraz hates Wolf. He bullies other inmates and is accused of several assaults. This prison is filled with the most violent criminals imaginable. During breakfast, Litmus asks Morris for some food and Morris gives him his plate. But Morris notices that Litmus doesn't eat. Instead, he secretly feeds a rat under the table. That night, a guard escorts Morris to the warden's office. The warden tells him, "I know you are sharp and intelligent, but none of that matters here. Many clever men came before you and not one ever escaped. Visits are allowed only once every 2 months and only if I feel like approving them." The warden is a strict man who punishes even the smallest mistake. He warns Morris, "Don't even think of escaping or you'll be torn apart." Morris smiles and replies, "Of course, sir, who would ever think of escaping under your watch?" But the truth is, Morris had already started planning from day one. During the meeting, he quietly steals a nail clipper. A tiny object, but Morris knows in Alcatraz, even something small can become a powerful tool. Back in his cell, he hides it inside his Bible. The next day in the bathroom, Wolf tries to provoke him again. This time, Morris fights back and beats him badly. After that, everyone in the prison starts respecting Morris. His reputation grows. Morris is assigned to work in the library where he meets a senior inmate named English. Sentenced to life for 2 murders, English has spent decades here. He knows every corner of the prison. He even knows about the fight between Morris and Wolf. English hands him books to deliver to other cells. Later, Morris notices inmates playing in the yard. There he meets Doc, an artist painting his own portrait. Doc is a quiet man who has survived Alcatraz for years by losing himself in his art. He says in a place like this, anyone can lose their mind. "Painting is the only thing keeping me sane." Morris asks why he painted a flower on his shirt when it isn't really there. Doc replies, "Because that flower is my happiness. It exists only in the painting, not in my life." Soon Morris approaches English again. At first, English's men try to stop him, but English signals to let him through. Morris sits down and immediately says, "I need your help to escape." English laughs. "Son, this isn't just a prison, it's our grave. If you leave this place, it will be only as a dead body. Even if you climb the walls, avoid the guards and somehow get outside, the sea will stop you. Don't waste your time, just serve your sentence and at least you'll stay alive." But Morris is determined. That night, a guard informs Morris he has been assigned to carpentry work starting tomorrow. He'll earn 50 cents an hour. Morris accepts instantly. He knows this could give him access to tools. The next day, Morris asks Litmus if there is a way out. Litmus smiles and says, "Every cell has an air vent. Maybe you can reach the roof from there." Then he walks away laughing. Doc quickly warns Morris that Wolf is coming. Wolf attacks with a knife. Morris wraps his coat around his arm and fights back. A guard intervenes, but Wolf stabs him too. The watchtower opens fire, and only then the fight stops. Morris realizes the prison is even more heavily guarded than he thought. Both Morris and Wolf are sent to D-Block, a punishment area where prisoners are tortured in total darkness. No one wants to be sent there. Before entering, Wolf threatens Morris that one day he will kill him. Morris suffers through weeks of brutal punishment until he is finally returned to his cell. Litmus sends him a note through his pet rat saying, "Welcome back, Morris." A new inmate named Charlie arrives and is placed in the cell next to Morris. The two become friends quickly. Soon after, the warden inspects every cell without warning. In Doc's cell, he finds dozens of paintings, including one of himself. The warden smiles, but the next day he orders every painting destroyed. This breaks Doc completely. His art was the only joy he had. Morris tries to comfort him, saying you can paint again. Later in carpentry, Doc secretly slips something into Morris's pocket. Then he takes an axe and cuts off 3 of his own fingers, screaming that if he can't paint, he doesn't need them. Guards drag him away. Morris discovers that Doc placed the painted flower into his coat, a final sign of his stolen happiness. Morris collects the severed fingers in a box and tells the guard, "Give this to your warden, he'll be pleased." Back in his cell, Morris notices a cockroach crawling into the air vent. He realizes there must be a passage there. English explains that Doc cut his fingers off because the warden banned him from painting. Morris grows furious. During lunch, the warden asks Morris why he cares so much about Doc. Morris denies it. At the table, he meets brothers John and Clarence. They recognize each other because they were once in the same gang. Sharp-minded like Morris, they quickly agree to plan an escape together. Meanwhile, Charlie's girlfriend visits and tells him that his mother is very sick and may not live long. Desperate, Charlie asks Morris to include him in the escape plan. That night, Morris explains the plan. Every cell has an air vent that leads upward. The sea air has weakened the concrete walls. I already started digging with the nail clipper. If I keep working, I can make a tunnel to the roof. John asks, "What if the guards notice you are missing at night?" Clarence replies, "I know how to handle that. There is a barber here who can supply us with real hair. We'll build dummy heads and place them on our pillows. When the guards check, they'll think we're still in bed." But one problem remains. Even if they escape the island, the sea is still out there. Morris says, "John, you work in the clothing shop. You can steal raincoats. With enough of them, we can build a raft and life jackets to cross the water." Charlie begs for a role too. Morris tells him, "When I dig, you keep watch, and when you dig, I'll cover for you." The plan is set, and that very night, they begin. But the nail clipper is too small. It takes Morris enormous effort to dig into the concrete, and his hands start to bleed. He realizes he needs a stronger tool. At the next meal, Morris gets an idea. He scratches his spoon against his shoe, making it dirty. He tells the guard, "This spoon is filthy. I need a new one." Other inmates also ask for replacements. The guard allows it. While swapping spoons at the counter, John distracts the guard and Morris grabs not one but 2 spoons, hiding one inside his pocket.